Hi, it's Shamel Lane with Scrapbook Remix, and we're right up to about prompt 18. And today I wanted to show you a little technique that I use with my favorite colors and really busting through lots of different pieces of paper. So I'm using the KI Memories Flashback collection today, and some pages have a little bit, some have a bit more. And I wanted to show you, instead of showing you each page complete, I wanted to show you where each of these pages started before they had photos and a title. So this is the first page that you see in the prompt, and it starts on the KI Memories background paper, and also this box here is KI Memories Flashback, and you'll see this one in all four layouts. And then basically for each page I chose one of my favorite color schemes. So in this case that's pink and turquoise. And I head to my basket of scraps and offcuts, and I just pull out anything I see that happens to fit that color scheme. I'm not worried about matching exact shades. I'm just looking at different pieces. So you'll see both white and cream based papers in here. You'll see different shades of turquoise and aqua. You'll see different shades of pink. But what I started with was that idea that I was going to pull out anything that was pink or turquoise. And I just take all the pieces as they come, and then I trim them to boxes. So say a piece is a bit off-shaped because it has some punches or some hand cut elements, I just take it to the trimmer, and whatever box I can make from that piece of paper, that's what I trim to. So then I end up with a variety of different pieces, but they're all nice and squarish, they're all rectangles, they all have straight edges, straight corners, things like that. And then I just start with the biggest piece. I put that as the background layer, and I work toward smaller pieces, and I just stack them up, and I ink all of them at once and stack them up and stick them as I go. And because there are so many, it means that I don't really have to stop and think about if something's going to go perfectly, because I'm putting so many different shades in that it will all come out in the wash, as it were. And this is that point that I get to. In this case, I also had a pattern paper that I'd pulled out that went with this color scheme that was better cut apart as accents or embellishments. So I've cut 3 of these little arrows with the turquoise border, and I've just pulled out a paper clip so that I can keep them with the layout at this point, and I'll have those when I put my photo on. I'll have those ready there to embellish. So pink and turquoise was the first color scheme I took to the basket, and then this one, which is an orangey based red and blue. And so essentially this is a red, white, and blue color scheme. And I know it's quite logical to think that red, white, and blue is automatically going to look patriotic, no matter not even necessarily American patriotic, because there are plenty of different countries that use red, white, and blue as their the colors of their flag and things like that. But I really don't think it has to be a patriotic color scheme. If you mix enough shades and pull different things, so these reds that lean a bit more toward orange, they won't look all that patriotic. I've even included some stars in this design, and it still to me doesn't particularly look like something that has to be the 4th of July or anything like that. So again, I started with all those scraps. I cut most of them to boxes, but then I had one little scalloped piece, and I had this that was kind of all the pieces here were kind of left over where I'd punched from different patterns in the middle, and I had this border piece, so I just cut that out with scissors so that I could include the little flower. But everything else is square again. They're all rectangles with 90-degree corners and straight edges. Started with the biggest piece at the background, second biggest piece on top of that, and then worked down toward the smaller pieces, put the framing piece on top. This time I didn't have any cutout bits other than what I already attached, and I've left that so that I can tuck a photo underneath there if I want. So red and blue for my second color combination. Third one was yellow and gray. So I started with a polka dot background, and this one, as far as the KI memories go, it has that same gray and white text print, and also these two smaller boxes, the gray and white stripe and this yellow damask print. And then just pulled all sorts of different patterns that I had in gray and yellow. I didn't have quite as many in this particular color combination as, say, pink and turquoise, but still enough to make it work. So I started in a different place on the page, starting at the top this time, and just adding from the largest boxes into down to the smallest ones, and everything all stacked up, everything inked, and so it's ready to go. So the fourth one is in turquoise and red, a little different than turquoise and pink, not far different, but a little bit. And so I wanted to show you this process. So here's my background page. It's from Pebbles, and it actually has the same color scheme on the back. It's red and white on the back. But I'm going to use this as my background, so you'll only see the turquoise bit in this instance. And then I went to my scraps and I pulled out all sorts of different things. I have the two KI Memories pieces. I've got the remainder of that gray, and I've got a red and white KI Memories piece there. I also had polka dots in both options, chevron in a couple different options, some floral, turquoise chevron, polka dots, kind of a large polka dot, this turquoise with a little bit of a swirl, and this geometric turquoise pattern. Then I also pulled out this one because I wouldn't use the yellow, but I could cut out these red flowers and use them as accents. So I'll put this one aside because that's going to be cut out with scissors. And then I'll take all of these and I'll just start cutting them into boxes. So this is what I mean, where I have this piece, and these two are already boxes. And then this one has all these awkward pieces. So it has this shape at the end, and I've punched here, so I'll just bring my trimmer to this and make a nice box from what's there. And usually this will get rid of the whole piece. I might end up with a little bit that's maybe worth saving, maybe not. And this exercise, I take maybe 4 or 5 color combinations at a time. I go through my scrap basket, and it just gives me tons of paper to work with. And I really love thick base layouts like this. And I know it's something that a lot of scrapbookers look at and say, but there's so much paper, and I do see a lot of people think that it's a waste of paper to use so many layers, and I totally understand if you're really needing to conserve paper, this is not the way to go. However, if you have a bunch of leftovers and they're weighing you down because you have all these pieces that you have to sort and organize and find a place to put them, then I'd much rather have something like this, because I feel like if I'm using all these different pieces that are left over, it's that idea of getting something from nothing. I've already used the sheet, I've already invested in that, I've used it somewhere else on another project, and now I can just feel free to chop it all up and stack it all together. And I love the sturdiness of layouts like this, and I love the look once there's photos on it as well. So I will cut all of these now down to some boxes, and then I'll show you how I layer and adhere them all. So here I have all my pieces cut into boxes and with the edges inked. So then I just take a quick minute to stack everything up so I can see what's biggest to smallest. And it's an imperfect science, this, because of course you get some that are taller, some that are wider, but just roughly the big pieces at the back of the stack, the small pieces at the front. So there's my stack of layers. I also cut out one of those groups of red flowers, but I'm just going to pop that to the side for now because that will be embellishment for later. And then I start at the back of this stack, and I just pick a spot on the page and I start adhering. So I tend to go nice and square with the bottom layer, making sure that that's nice and straight along that edge. And once I've gone a few layers into it, then I'll start angling some of the smaller pieces. But the first few I tend to try and get pretty level. And there's not a lot of thinking going into this once everything is in the right size. So perhaps on an ordinary page I would sit here and try this underneath the turquoise, this on top of the turquoise. In this case, because I'm just sticking everything as I go, I can't have that debate. And this is all scraps, it's all leftover pattern papers. There's not a right and a wrong, a perfect and imperfect here. It's just a case of getting it all on the page. And then it will eventually all work. So now sometimes I will get to a point where I'll realize, okay, my next piece was red again. That's an awful lot of red together, plus this was the cream-based paper with the white-based, and I'd rather have a gap in between, a layer in between the cream and the white. And I'm not opposed to having them together on the same page with such a limited color scheme, and since there are so many different patterns there, but it's nice to have them not 100% next to each other. So I'll look for a turquoise piece or two to break up all the red that I've started here. And sometimes if you see something like, say, I'll do this just so that I can show you. Say I want this to stretch. Well, there's a lot that's not going to show because I'm layering things on top. So you can either do that with scissors or just rip it and adhere it again. Take something that has a nice straight edge, lay it against that piece there, and then come back to where you want it to go. And that way, once this bit in the middle is covered up, this is in the right place so that if it were one long block, it would all be in the right place. So that works. See, once I've got a few layers onto the page, I'm not so worried about getting everything perfectly straight. I like a little bit of angling here and there, so that's okay at this point. I can add this one here to cover up the rest of that gap. And so now no one knows except I showed you. If I hadn't have shown you, you would have thought that was all one piece. I think, anyway. And so now I'll start back in here. Actually, sometimes I do get to a point and think, okay, so this one is too big. I'm not going to use the whole thing. So I'll just cut it down. I can put that back in the scrap basket. It's not the most common thing for me to do, to take it and put it back, but sometimes a piece just doesn't work, and so I either abandon it or put it back. So add that one over there. You know what? I think this cream is just too much cream because now I'm adding more white on top, so I will abandon that one. And I'll add this chevron there. It's red and white chevron crazy, but that's okay. I've got red floral to break that up a little bit. And then this last bit of red in here. So that's how I get to that stage. This is the exact same exercise, and if you want to look at the video, you can time how long that took me. I didn't stop the video while I was doing it. So there's all of that layer of paper. I've naturally gone to this corner in this case, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere my flowers to this corner so that I can tuck something underneath them. But what I will do is I'm leaving space here so that I'll be able to tuck the photo underneath or other page element underneath, and flat adhesive here, and then just pop that in the corner, and I get the dimension but the ability to take my my paper and put it underneath, so I can tuck the photo there. And that is the basic principle of this whole idea. So if you have a look at the prompt, you can see all of these 4 pages in their finished state. And I hope you'll give this little idea a try and just find all those papers and then cut and stick as you go. And it's really fast and you get all these beautiful combinations that you wouldn't necessarily have picked up otherwise. And one last little thing, I know that all 4 of these were made without any photos in mind, and I know to some scrapbookers that sounds completely bizarre. That's exactly the reason why I make them in my favorite color combinations, because I know if they're combinations that I use all the time, I have dozens of layouts in pink and turquoise. I know that I'll have more photos that will go with pink and turquoise because I know that that color combination works for me. So use your favorite color combinations, and that way you know you'll have photos that work. I find this exercise works really well if you just choose 2 colors for your combination, because then you can use a lot of shades of just those colors. If I chose maybe a 4 or 5 different color, a wider choice of colors, all the different shades might not go together quite as well. But with 2 colors, it works. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thanks for watching.